Alright, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Tutorial Park. Last time we were here, it's been a while, but I have made a couple tutorials that weren't in the park. So this restaurant over here, the restaurant in Serenity Now, the tropical park I'm building, and this gift shop over here is also from Serenity Now. I decided to copy them and throw them in here so like the park can get finished. What this tutorial today will be building a coaster. So the coaster I picked is this Eurofighter. The reason I picked it is, yes, once again, I am in a Facebook contest. So hopefully this goes well. I'm not trying to make the craziest Eurofighter you ever seen. This is mainly just to get a tutorial to help you guys. Oh, that was my dog. You all right? I just make this coaster. It's not the craziest thing. It's just very simple, nice and easy, and hopes to get you guys, prepared for making coasters of your own. But yeah, the actual contest is to build a Eurofighter. So this is actually my first time I've ever built one of these. So like if you've seen Serenity Now or Carla's Gardens or my Mountainside Escapes, which is the only 3 parks I finished, this coaster doesn't appear in any of them. So this is brand new to me, and it's basically learning on the job. But yeah, I had like a little bit of an idea going into this. I wanted it to interact with the path right there, that plaza that I made. I kind of get it close. I ended up moving the path later on, which I don't actually show it. But the path is still relatively close to it, and it makes for a really good sight line. You figure you're going to the park, and the entrance is like kind of down that pathway, kind of in a straight line. So like when you look in, you'll be able to see this Eurofighter over the gift shop, and then like when you look further ahead, you're going to be seeing that turnaround right there. So it should have a really good sight line, and that's something I always think about when I do make coasters on, like how's the sight line going to look, how it should be placed. And to me, all that stuff is really important. Like I see a lot of people out there, they make a coaster, and it's not that the coaster will be bad or anything, but I just feel like the placement of the coaster is almost as important as the coaster. You don't want to make a coaster and then just like plop it down and it kind of doesn't feel like it fits, or you kind of really can't see it anywhere. Because, I mean, if you just constantly put yourself in the park, like, if you use PlipCam and put yourself in the park, that really helps you with sight lines and stuff. And for me, I like just seeing a little bit of a coaster, not too much of it. And, that way, like, if you figure you were really in the park, you would get excited for it when you saw a little bit of it. But yeah, that's just my rant on, like, I guess coasters and sight lines and stuff. But getting back to this, I decided, like I said, I wanted the path interaction. If you saw, I figured out that it was too high, and the coaster was way too fast for that first turnaround. So I ended up making the lift hill a little bit smaller, so the speed wasn't as fast. I used the in-game loop because I thought it actually did a good job. It's not a bad in-game loop, so there's no need for me to make a custom one. I thought it did it, what it was supposed to do very well. If you notice right behind the station, right there, that's actually a block section. So how block sections work is, in between any 2 block sections is block tracks is the actual section. So if you set your coaster to run block sections or block track, I don't know what it's actually called, but if you make your coaster run that way, no coaster can be in the 2 coasters can't be, or 2 trains can't be in the same block section at the same time. So if you set your coaster up with enough block sections, you could run more trains than the 1 or 2 that the in-game, coasters give you. So here, since I noticed these Eurofighters don't have like trains, they just have a car. Since they only have 1 car, I, decided I want to have more block sections. That way I could have more of these little cars. That way you have more of your guests going through per hour than if it was just like the 2. So, it'll cut down on your queue line time, and then, if you actually play on challenge mode, you'll make more money per hour because more guests are going through the ride per hour. So that's something to think of if, you do play challenge mode and stuff that I like to do. Here I just made like a custom like barrel roll, or I don't think it's a Heartline roll. I think it's more like a barrel roll. I just twisted the track, and you could do a thing where you twist the track and twist it all the way through, and then if you want, you could actually delete. Like here, I'm like deleting sections, and then you could use the auto finish button, so the game actually finishes it for you, and it becomes a lot smoother than normal. I use the smoothing tool a lot. What I like to do is like get a whole section, like that front half I had, the drop, and then the turnaround, like helix up kind of portion, and then the loop. I figured that was one section right there. And what I do is I always have the testing on. So the car is always going while I'm working on it. Oh, sorry. And then you can see like it explodes or falls off or whatever. Don't worry about that. But having it run like that all the time, you could really tell how smooth things are and jerky is when you're building it, and see where you have to like fix things and stuff like that. And here's another point where I just go over an area and I keep smoothing one track at a time. I click on 3 and it does the middle one, and then just use the smooth all button, and then just click it a couple times, whatever, and then move on and just keep going. And if you keep going through the track like that, it'll smooth itself out really good. Sometimes, like here, I decided, the G-force might have been a little bit too high, so I try to stretch out the curve a little bit more, so it's not, the lateral Gs aren't that high. Again, I don't try to make the most realistic coasters. To me, having the in-game stats for the guests are the most important. Basically, like, excitement, fear, and nausea. Those, if you can get them all 3 green, to me, that's the most important. Because, the way the game is and how the guests are, that's what they care about. Like, granted, you could have something that has, too high vertical Gs or too high lateral Gs, and it wouldn't really matter. As long as the 3 other stats are green, the guests will still go on it. And to me, that's the part that matters, because the last thing you want to do is build a coaster and then have no guests go on it, and you have no idea why. But yeah, getting back to it, I like to work like one section at a time. I'll make it, and as soon as I'm happy with the section, the way the layout is for like that little area, then I start smoothing it out. And constantly, like once I build the coaster like I have now, I actually do go on rides, like point of view rides a lot, just to see how it is if I was a guest and how smooth it is, what I need to fix and stuff like that. I don't show it in the speed build because I kind of cut those parts out. But I think while I was building this, I took maybe 4 on-ride rides, if that makes sense. Just constantly checking where I could fix things, where, it was a little too jolty or too harsh of like a transition or something like that. And again, I'm always using like the heat map and stuff to see, what parts need adjustments and stuff like that. Like you could go inside the ratings, underneath it, there'll be like a thing that says like, your results and stuff. And then next to that, there'll be a part where it says heat maps. And that'll show you whatever you click on, whether it's excitement, fear, nausea, Gs, lateral Gs, vertical Gs. And, it'll show you, what parts of the track do what. And then from there, you can go back and adjust, what you can to fix whatever is good or bad. I think when I was making this, I fixed it once. And it came out it was all green. It was green across the board. Everything was fine. And then I found out that like that first drop, the lateral Gs were a little bit high, and I adjusted it a couple times to get it down to a more realistic level, which it's not like the end of the world if it's not, but I just wanted to do it just to make it a little bit better. And then what happened was, I think it's this run, you could see the excitement goes down just under green, so just under 6. And I kind of wanted green all the way across, which I had before. So I end up, right there, you can see it's orange, green, and green. So what I end up doing is looking this way, and I could see the lift hill. Always the lift hill is going to kill a lot of your excitement. So what you could do with the lift hills, you could actually speed some of them up. And, sometimes it's realistic and sometimes it's not. Here, I actually sped it up a little bit faster. And it's not going to make the lift hill more exciting, but it's going to lift up the number of the excitement on the lift hill a little bit, and that will help like the overall average. And that's exactly what happens here. I actually make it a little bit quicker. I think I end up changing, this loop a little bit more. I think I make it a little bit smaller. to actually hold up the speed better. I cut this turn a little bit more to make it a little more exciting, but it's not, dangerous or anything. And I think after that, I end up doing a POV ride, which, again, I don't show. But then after that, I figured out I believe it was all green after that, and I was happy with it. But again, I'm just going back and smoothing everything back from the loop that I just added in hopes to make everything good. And again, I moved this path, so don't worry about it hitting the path right here. But that was the plan from the get-go, to have that path interaction right there. Since, like I said, since it's next to the gift shop and the restaurant that's from Serenity Now, the Tropical Park, I decided to change the colors on the ride to feel more tropical. I do this like blue track. Whoop, that's my dog. My wife just got home. So I end up just doing this blue track, and I think I changed the coaster trains to orange, to help out with the look of it. And I don't have a name for the coaster. I was kind of leaning towards Bahama Blast, or I don't know, maybe it was the Mountain Dew thing. Is that Blast? Something Blast? I don't remember. But if you got a cool like tropical name, maybe drop one in the comments and I'll see, and I'll name it that way. Because again, this tutorial park, it's, I still want it to be like a realistic park. So not like realistic, but like something you could visit. So I kind of want to have the theming all tie in together. Here I didn't show it, but I end up raising the terrain over the tracks all over the place. And the reason I do that is because then you could actually take the smoothing tool and the pushing tool, and you could push the terrain down where the track is, and then you get like more of this like carving out kind of feature for like the actual terrain. So like more like the coaster track is carving out the actual terrain and stuff like that. And to me, I think it's more exciting that way than basically just having your coaster on flat ground. It kind of gets like, you could do a really cool coaster on flat ground, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I feel like if you could add the terrain somehow, it just makes, a little more enjoyable and interesting when you're actually on the ride, when you're actually, in it yourself. Here I decided to I didn't want to make like a mountain or anything in the front. I just raised it up like where that turnaround is a little bit, and I think I end up, figuring out that I do want to do like a waterfall where the coaster like goes behind the water, like in front of the waterfall. So I raised up that little hill enough where a waterfall drop. I end up digging out a hole so water can go in it. And again, I don't do it on this episode because I think that could be another whole tutorial where I make a realistic waterfall. And I could show you guys how to do that one. I did a couple in Serenity Now that it came out really good, so maybe I could just do a really quick one to help you guys out with that. Maybe even like lighting the waterfall would help too, because I've gotten a couple people ask me how I do that as well. But same thing here, I'm just, checking and taking down the terrain, make sure the terrain doesn't interfere with the tracks and stuff like that. And again, you should probably ride your coaster a bunch of times. I think I did this like 4 or 5 while I was building it. And, while you're actually building it, take a ride on it, and then make sure, you're not getting hit in the face with trees, or, terrain isn't intersecting or something like that. But, I do end up, I don't do the actual trees and stuff now. I think I'll make that another episode, or I'll just do that off camera. But here I'm just trying to get the terrain done, and, like the water and the actual coaster and stuff. Right before the lift hill, I'm going to make a transfer track. I didn't make it in this episode because I think I could do that one live to show you guys exactly how I do that one. This is more like just a speed build kind of thing, just showing you how I build, a coaster and smooth it out as much as I can with a smoothing tool and stuff like that. Again, not the greatest coaster in the world. It was just something very nice and easy, and to be honest with you, it was actually not a bad coaster. Like, it's not the worst in the world either, so... But, yeah, it's pretty good. Again, I take a bunch of rides that I don't show you. I'll end up taking one at the end, so you could actually see what the ride is. But again, you got to keep riding it, because here I figured out, the heads of the people were hitting the ground where it does that bow roll right there. So I end up having to take the terrain down a little bit. I made the entrance and exit way of the queue path. That was already done. It is what it is. I don't know if I really like it. I might change it so it doesn't go over the track, but, it is what it is. And then here with the block sections, since I had so many of them, I could have 3 trains. And that last train starts on the last block section, which is right by the hill. So you just have to make sure it could actually get down to the station okay. And then after that, you should be good to go, because then they line up one behind another, and it's, you know, not a big deal. So, but yeah, here's the POV. I guess I'll just, you know, shut my mouth for once and then let you guys enjoy it. Yeah, so that was it. Green across the board. I'm really happy about this one. I think it came out really good. Maybe Bahama Blast, Malibu Breeze. I don't know. You guys name it. Leave me a comment below and tell me what you want to be called. But also, if you could leave me a like and subscribe, and, you know, also leave a comment below on other tutorials you'd like me to try, or, you know, if you guys have struggled with something, you know, let me know below and I'll see what I can do to get to it. But yeah, that will probably wrap this one up. So I guess I'll just see you in the next one.